Now, as you see inside the apron, of course, you have that channel for the rubber seal that won't line up, I'm sure. They never do. Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. Today, we are doing engine compartment seals that goes around the firewall, around the shelves, and the rear apron to keep the heat out and the cool air in. So let's go ahead. There's going to be lots of little tips and tricks along the way. Let's get it handled.
Hey everybody, it's Dan Ledbetter from VW Trends Magazine. Check out what Slade has to say.
Are you subscribed to VW Trends Magazine? If you're not, pop down in the description and please get yours. They are back in the saddle for quite a few years now. Let's show them some love and support. All right, now this is going to be a two-part series with the engine compartment seal to keep the heat out and also to do the removable apron. I am going to do it my way, the removable apron, which should make sense when I explain to it instead of welding. So this will be a little easier for a lot of folks. Okay. So I got my seals. This one here, let me spin it around, is the part number for the engine compartment seal. I thought I went through West Coast Metric for these ones. I must not have. And these ones here are, well, they're made in Brazil. That's why they feel nice and soft. They're not junk. And then the other seal, and I'll show you once I'm doing them. I'm going to show a technique that I do to make them slide on easier, because if you leave them pinched tight, you're never going to get these new seals in. So we'll go over tips and tricks the whole time. I'll tell some jokes. I'm not going to tell any jokes. And we'll go ahead and get this buttoned up. So let's get on it. All right, so I forgot my motor was in. All right, I'll pop this out real fast. It'll only take a second. And what I brought up about going around the apron is for a reason. I'm doing a removable apron, and I'm going to show you today what I'm going to do. So I'm going to have to slice mine, and I'll explain along the way what you don't have to do, because the bigger majority is not going to have a removable apron. I like the removable apron because I just slide the jacket and pull the engine straight out. Win-win-win. And the way I'm doing it is the easy way. I'm not going to have to fabricate or do anything crazy. And I'm not going to just tighten it up between the inner well and fender to hold it in place. I'm not doing that. I don't like it. It seems too weak that way. But I'm going to do it with some bolts and nuts. And that way it will never move on you. And it's easy to pop off. That was a lot to say, huh? But you get the point. So let me pop the motor out real fast. And I'm going to show you everything you need to do to keep your engine running cool. So you see where I put the jack stands. Don't forget your wheel chock behind the front wheels so the car can't roll forward. Buy good jack stands. A lot of them were recalled, so be careful with that. So we're going to go ahead and loosen the bottom bolts first, the nuts on the motor, and then the top bolts. Do not take the top off first and then get underneath and then decide to loosen the bottoms. No. Top afterwards, bottom first. It should make sense. So let me get under, pop the two nuts off real quick, and I'll come back up top. Got my motorcycle jack. Hopefully I don't have to lower the car more. I'll find out in a second. I can't remember. Looks like I might have to. Oops. Come on. There we go. See if I'm even. There we go. And that is the ease. Whoops, wait a second. I screwed up. We are golden. See why I'm doing a removable apron? And that's why. Ta-da! I made life simple. That's why and I'll go over the apron in the end after we get the first strip on. We're going to go ahead and do the firewall seal first. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So first things first, this side is not touched. This is now, if you don't uncrimp these slightly and try to slide it up through, you're going to have a heck of a time getting it through there. And we're going to go over this hole here too. I started to uncrimp this. Let me go ahead and show you what I do first, what I use, and then we'll have it in place. You can use a chisel, put it in there, bend it, before I get cut on that. Or you can use a pair of vice grips, or these kind. I don't even know what the heck they're called. They're vice grips, but they're more for like body work. So, all right. I positioned the camera so you feel like you're doing it, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to start here. We're going to squeeze and bend. And then hold over. And you can use regular vice grips that don't have as long as jaws on them. It just might take a few minutes longer. That's all. It's not a big deal. So let me speed this up a second. Now, be careful. If yours are weak, you will break them and you'll be welding a new one on, which they do sell them, I'm sure. Okay, so we have the channel opened up. Now, again, you do it which way you want to do it. You don't have to do it this way. You can fight and try to squeeze the rubber in the best that you can, but you might have a difficult time. Don't bend this clear down. I just opened it up so it'll slide in, and then I'll show you what we'll do. So let me go get the rubber. Now this rubber can go on two ways, and I'm going to bring you up close in 2 seconds. I do mine by the manual, the Bentley manual, the factory service manual, whatever you want to call it. There are some people telling you to do the opposite way, and I don't like it. So, okay, come here. Now, here's something else I'm going to do. Here is a brass brush and then a regular brush. You want to take and just get it up in here. I already did mine, so you're not going to see nothing coming out. Get that top lip all cleaned out. Go over the bottom lip. I already did mine, so you're just not seeing nothing. You want to clean it out so it slides easier. Take regular brush, somebody else's toothbrush, not your own, and throw it out. And clean that out. Blow it out with air, and that way you don't have to worry about anything hanging up. Okay, here's the deal. You see how this has an angle on it. Trying to get it positioned right. See what I mean? See how it's angled? Now, I've seen some folks saying to put them in this way so it's angled up like this. You don't want to do that, okay? That is not what the manual calls for. You want to put it on like that so the flap is down. So when the engine comes up, the cooling tin, it presses against it and makes a seal. So you definitely want to go this direction. See that? Perfect. Just like that. Okay? And I think why a lot of people are doing it is this opening here is where your throttle cable comes through. And I understand that. But with your throttle cable coming through, all you're doing with your seal is just cutting a tiny slice on each side so the cable can make it. Do it the right way. So this is the fun part. Now, I'm going to go ahead and spray a little silicone on it. I don't know if I'm going to run it through the channel or press it up in. So I can't remember. It's been like 4 years since I had to do one. So let's see if it slides up through. If not, we'll do it a different way. The bottom wants to pop out. I think I opened it a little too much, but it's okay. Hands are slipping on a silicone. Easier if I wasn't filming, but sometimes it don't work out that way. When you're trying to reach around the camera, it kind of makes it a little more difficult. And it came out. Okay, we're going to do it a different way. All right, since it was fighting with me, I'm going to do it a different way. I slid it up through on my last car, so this time I don't want to do that. The sill seems too thick this way. It's having a hard time inside of there. Okay, so we got to leave a little slack on each end. Let's even it. There we go. Let me get some of it up in, pushed up in the upper lip so that I can lock it in place, so to speak. This seal's too thick. There's a surprise with the stuff we get now. That's odd. I don't know why it's that thick for. I have a plastic pry tool that I'm pushing it up in the upper lip with. Just seemed really thick to me to fit inside of that channel. I'll bring you up where you can see it in a second what I'm doing. I'm bending the lower lip back up to hold the rubber in place. See what I did there? Even pulled my paint off. I can always mask off and retouch up. Once I get it pushed up in the upper lip, then I am going ahead and clamping with a pair of pliers the lip around it so it holds it in place. So that should make sense. Some more in here. Some people use powder to slide it around or what have you, but I use my silicone spray. Plastic pry tools, you ought to buy a kit from Amazon. I got a link in the description if you need any. They're good for a lot of stuff, so you don't rip your rubber, technically. Just push it up in that upper lip. You're working it up inside of it. There we go. And I take my pliers. I'll grab it down here, and you're bending that lip back. I mean, it don't have to be super tight, but you don't want it falling off. See what I'm doing there? Just like that. Now you can go around with your tool and tap on it to get it down inside of it. But let me finish this first. I'll go ahead and speed this part up for a second. go along and make sure that it's all tucked in. This came right off. I gotta wire wheel and clean it up and spray it now. There's a couple that need pushed in, like right there. So all I'll do is screwdriver that open a hair, pop it in, and recrimp it. That's the way you want that. So I'm gonna do the other side real quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and continue on. Give me 1 second. Okay, nice and tight. Now, I was going to use the silicone spray and feed it all the way up through. I was able to do that with my last car, but when I seen it started fighting with me, I don't feel like fighting. I'm tired. Once you get it up in there and you crimp the bottom to hold it in, just go around and give it a tug and make sure, I mean, don't yank on it like a gorilla, but actually check it to make sure it's not going to fall out. But if you crimped it all the way around, you should be perfectly fine. So here's the deal. People are saying to put it in the opposite way. Unlike the manual, this throttle cable comes through here. Okay, and there's that slot here. Now mine's not installed yet. All you gotta do, it ain't a big deal to make a little slice on each side of this so that it'll come straight through. It's not a big deal. It doesn't pay to put it in upside down to avoid that. That doesn't make any sense to me. So just do it my way. So you see the rail here and here, and it continues around to the apron inside. That'll be your other seal that goes around. Now I'm going to set the apron in place, but first we're going to start the seal first. And then I'll tell you why I got to cut mine, and you won't have to cut yours unless you're doing a removable apron. All right, so now we're going to put or install our seal on the side. Now remember, I'm doing a removable apron, so I'll be slicing it at one point, but you don't do that. But I'll show you as I go along. I'm going to bring you up close here in a second, and I'm going to show you which way it goes in so you don't boob it up. Now, you're going to slide it into this channel to get it started, or whatever way you want to do it. You can bring it in from this end, which is not quite as easy. However, I'm just doing this for filming purposes. Now, you see this here, right? Okay. People sometimes get messed up with this. Do you see the little piece here? Look at that. That's what slides in there. So this is the way it goes, just for reference. Okay, and we're going to go ahead. I'm going to spray it with a little silicone to slide it in. I forgot the silicone. Now you can use what you want. This is what I'm using. So use what you want. Some people use baby powder or cornstarch or whatever. I don't know. I never messed with using that stuff, but we're going to go ahead and spray that and start sliding it in. Now make sure your tracks here, if there's any pieces like bent over, because you know when you put the stuff in before, you pinch these so it held it in place. So if you see any of these, just take a little pair of pliers or channel locks and pull them out a little bit so that it slides through. Oh, it got really dirty. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead. I don't know whether I'll spray the rubber. Okay, so we sprayed rubber. Let's see how easy it slides in. Oh, not too bad. Here, let me bring you a little closer even. And you should be able to. It sticks a little bit. There we go. Now, I'm going to tuck this behind here. Give it a little more shove. There we go. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is some of this, you can see it's bent up a little bit. I'm going to tap this with a brass punch or whatever you have to clamp it in, and then we're going to look underneath it. Now, you may not have to do this if yours holds tight. Mine is holding tight, but I want to tap out a little bit, so I don't think it's completely required, but if you can see this, that's sticking up, so I want that to hold up in. So I'm going to ignore the noise a minute. I don't have the fender tight. There, that pinched it right there. I can go a little tighter, but I'm going to tap along here like that. Probably can't see that, but there's a little indentation there, and it'll keep it from pulling out. And then what we'll do is lift it up and go underneath. I know it's hard to see. I know, quit complaining. And we're going to tap it along there because some of this is a little bit loose. So we'll tap that in because underneath here now, you're probably not able to tell that there you go. See that? Some of it's a little loose. So I'm going to run along the bottom of it with a punch and snug it in tight, push the channel in so it holds this tight. But that's how that goes on. And then you need to trim where you see fit because this is going to come up with the engine. And this is still here. So you can trim a little bit of this off if you'd like to. That's up to you. Now, as you know, this is part one. I'm going to be doing the removable apron. So I'm not telling you to cut yours because most of you are not going to have a removable apron. So for the most of you, your apron's already on. I guess you know that. Now, the aprons are factory spot welded all the way down for strength. Now, a lot of people like to put their aprons on and make them removable, which I'm all for that because see how easy it was to slide the motor right out. However, when it comes to this, the apron is your strength. Just putting it on and tightening the fenders up, in my opinion, that's not very strong in all sincerity. So I'm not going to do this today on video. I'm just telling you what's going on and why I'm going to slice my seal. When you drill a couple holes and put some nice, grade 8 bolts, whatever makes you feel happy, you can go ahead and put a bolt straight through here, a nut into the apron. So the bolt is going through the fender, the inner well, and the apron all the way through. Put, one here with some big flat washers. That way, when you go to remove the apron, that way it's strong, and I'm not putting anybody down about the rear apron and sandwiching it in between here. Many people do that. That's fine. I'm not telling you that you're wrong. It's just your way of doing it. With the factory spot weld them all the way down. Yes, I'm being repetitive. I know. That's giving it strength. So if you put 2 large bolts through the fender, the inner well, through the apron with large flat washers and crank them tight, you're going to get back that strength that you need. Okay, so I'm going to just slide the apron on temporarily because I'm not going to drill the holes and bolt today. That's a separate video, which will be pretty quick next week for removable aprons. But let's go ahead and just set the apron in place. Alrighty, ditty. Now, as you see inside the apron, of course, you have that channel for the rubber seal that won't line up, I'm sure. They never do. But you're going to run yours. You're going to run yours around, all the way around the apron, and around, and all the way there. I'm sure I didn't need to show you that. But the point being, I'm going to have to cut mine. So I'm going to have to run mine over, slice it, because with a removable apron, I can't leave the seal as one continuous piece. So I need to slice mine where it meets the apron. That way I still have my seal, but yet when I remove the apron to pull the motor or even work on the front of the engine, the seal will stay in place of the apron and it will separate. I hope that made sense. I'm not telling anybody to do a removable apron. I want to, for the easiness and simplicity of going ahead and working on the engine or changing the exhaust system, anything. It's a huge benefit. And that'll be coming up part 2 next week with doing the apron, and then you'll see me do the rest of the seal. But at least that showed you what you need to do. So I hope all that made sense. And again, not to be repetitive, I know, you want to make sure these channels that you tap them tight, like pinch a couple spots so the rubber can't slide or pull out when you push the motor up in. That's the last thing you need. So I hope that made sense. It should. So it's really not that bad in all honesty, but it does keep the heat from coming up into the engine compartment because your motor is pulling fresh air from above, or if you have deck lid standoffs, and it's pulling it through the fan. If you don't have them seals around here, then the heat's going to work its way up in the engine compartment, and your fan shroud's going to pull it in and blow hot air onto your cylinders. That ain't good. So you want to make sure that seal's in all the way around. We're going to go ahead and do the removable apron next week. I'm going to show you what to do. And I think a lot of you might like that if you choose to do it. I'm not telling you to, but you've seen how quick I just slid the motor right out. There was no getting under the car, tilting it, standing on your head, like all that jazz. So let me tell you a few things, and then I'm going to eat Thanksgiving dinner. So as I said, there's no point in you watching me do both sides. That would be stupid. I don't like being stupid. And next week, the removable apron, and I'm going to overlap with the oil debate. Everybody wants me to do this video talking about oil, which is going to start a lot of arguments. I think that'll be fun in a way. So that will be next week with the removable apron. There'll be 2 videos. So I hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving and great family time. Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, a live chat. Don't forget it. I'll see you soon.